Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh and good day. So we are the group 4. So our topic is all about the Philippine history, spaces for conflict and controversies. So first, we will talk about the making sense of the past, historical interpretation. History is the study of the past, but more contemporary definition is centered on how it impacts the present through its consequences. Historical interpretation is the process by which we describe, analyze, evaluate, and create an explanation of past events. Jeffrey Berry Clow defined history as the attempt to discover, on the basis of fragmentary evidence, the significant things about the past. He also states the history we read, though based on fact, is strictly speaking non-factual at all, but a series of accepted judgments. Such judgments of historians on how the past should be seen make the foundation historical interpretation. Historians utilize facts connected from primary sources of history and then draw their intended audience may understand the historical events. The process that essence makes sense of the past. The premise is that not all the primary sources are acceptable to a general audience, and without the proper training and background, a non-historian interpreting a primary sources may do more harm than a good. A primary source may even cause misunderstandings, sometimes even resulting in more problems. So now we will moving on to the multi-perspectivity. With several possibilities of interpreting the past, another important concept that we must note is multi-perspectivity. Multi-perspectivity is a characteristic of narration or representation where more than one perspective is presented to the audience. This can be defined as a way of looking at historical events, personalities, developments, cultures, and societies from different perspectives. So, this means that there is a multitude of ways by which we can view the world, and each could be equally valid and at the same time equally partial as well. That historical writing is by definition biased, partial, and contains preconceptions. The historian decides on what source to use, what interpretation to make more apparent, depending on what end is. So, historian may misinterpret evidence, attending to those that suggest that a certain event happened and then ignore the rest that goes against the evidence. Historians may omit significant facts about their subject, which make the interpretation unbalanced. So, the historian may impose a certain ideology to their subject which may not be appropriate to the period the subject was from. Historians may also provide a single cause of an event considering other possible causal explanations of said events. These just many of the ways a historian may fail in his historical experience, description, and interpretation. With multi-perspectivity as an approach in history, we understand that historical interpretation contains discrepancies, contradictions, ambiguities, and are often the focus on dissent. Exploring multiple perspectives in history requires incorporating source materials that reflect different views of an event in history. It is because singular historical narratives do not provide space to inquire and investigate. Different sources that counter each other may create space for more investigation and research while providing more evidence for those truths that these sources agree on. Different kinds of sources also provide different historical truth. An official document may note different aspects on the past than, say, a memoir of an ordinary person on the same events. Different historical agents create different historical truths, and while this may be a burdensome work for the historian, it also renders more validity to the historical scholarship. Taking this in close regard in the reading of historical interpretations, it provides for audience a more complete but also a more complete and rich understanding of the past.